But in January, several Ohio factories announced plans to close, including a Conn-Selmer instrument plant in Eastlake, which is near Cleveland. The plant's billionaire owner, John Paulson, a close ally of President Trump, is sending all those jobs to China. Annette Dombrowski is a three-time Trump voter and a janitor at that Eastlake plant. At the end of this month, she will now be out of a job. MS Now reporter Alex Tabbitt sat down with her at her home last week, asked her about being laid off and whether she thinks President Trump understands what she is going through.
I actually have panic attacks. I've had a couple this past week, and I get very emotional over it. I don't want to work anymore, but I can't afford to retire.
Obviously, President Trump is immensely wealthy, has been wealthy since he was born.
Yep.
Do you think he understands?
No. No. He hasn't lived it to understand it. He sees it, he has not lived it. He needs to live it. Wear the clothes, wear the shoes, wear your Walmart clothes, wear your Walmart shoes. Do your thrift store shopping. Don't eat steaks. I don't get to go out to dinner. It's not an overnight thing, but it's been 2 years now. You said you'd bring down the grocery prices. Literally, I must be the most angry person when I grocery shop because I buy the same things every week and I see it jump every week. It is not every couple months. It's literally every week.
Alex also spoke with another three-time Trump voter, a man named Chris Tackett, a trucker from Ohio, who said he's fed up with the president's broken promises.
When President Trump said he wasn't going to start foreign wars, when he said he was going to bring down prices, did you believe him?
Yeah. I mean, his first term, I think he held true to everything that he said he was going to do. I think he fought for everything he said he was going to fight for. This time around, I haven't seen it. He's backtracked on every single pitch point he had during his election. He's backtracking on. All we heard was drill, drill, drill during the election, and now all we're getting is drilled into the dirt with these prices. So I'm not a fan of him. I voted for Trump all three terms. To be honest with you, I'm not a big supporter of him at this point.
If you could talk directly to President Trump, what would you tell him right now?
Get it together, man. The average American is struggling to make ends meet right now. And nobody wants to hear the war's almost over. Nobody wants to hear it's going to get better. You've had a year to make it better at this point. Make it better.
Our thanks to Alex Tabbitt for that report. And joining us now, House Minority Leader, Democratic Congressman Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Mr. Leader, thank you for joining us this morning. And let's start with what we just saw there from those Trump supporters in Ohio. It seems to me that we see the president's approval rating, and that's the biggest reason why. People who backed him last time said, look, he made these economic promises. He hasn't delivered. So how do you then make that message for Democrats this fall, and what solutions do you offer?
Well, there are far too many people in this country, including the two that were just interviewed, who are working hard, they're playing by the rules, but they're struggling to make ends meet. They can't thrive, and they can barely survive. And this is all unfolding in the wealthiest country in the history of the world. And it's not the type of America that we should be living in. And as Democrats, we're going to work hard to drive down the high cost of living, to address the affordability crisis. It's real. It's not a hoax, as the president has indicated. We actually do care about the financial situation of the American people. And we know that we need to make progress in terms of grocery costs. We need to lower housing prices. We need to lower the cost of health care. We need to push back against Donald Trump's tariffs, which have increased costs for everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year. And of course, we need to end this reckless war of choice, which has driven up gas prices.
So let's go to that right now. The president, once again, yesterday, suggesting that a deal to end this war is near. Has the Congress received any sort of briefings as to what might be happening in these negotiations?
We haven't received any briefings, and there's no reason to believe the president at this particular point in time. He's now said, and the war's gone on for over 100 days, he's now said 38 different times that a deal was close, or that the war was ending, or that it was effectively over. 38 different times. There's no reason to believe him at this point. He's divorced from reality. The reality that the American people are seeing is that we've lost the lives of over a dozen patriotic servicemen and women. Hundreds have been injured. Over $100 billion in taxpayer money has been spent, and Iran is actually stronger now relative to their position in the Middle East than they were prior to this war.
So one more on this. I mean, obviously your opposition to the war is well known, but that can't be changed now. We're in this conflict. So what does the president need to get out of these negotiations?
Well, we do think it can be changed. The House was able to successfully pass a war powers resolution to end this conflict. We've sent it over to the Senate, and Senate Republicans need to get their act together and actually stand up for the American people. That is one, way that this conflict can end. I do think that we need hyper-aggressive diplomacy, and Donald Trump needs to bring our traditional allies back to the negotiating table, because it's clear he can't get a deal done on his own. What President Obama was able to successfully do with the Iranian nuclear agreement was bring together Great Britain and France and Germany, Japan, India, and China and Russia at the same period of time. And what Donald Trump now has done is broke up that agreement, detonated it, because Donald Trump has Obama derangement syndrome. And now Iran is stronger than it ever been. We certainly are not in a position to send ground troops and create another quagmire in the Middle East. And so he's got to try to get back to a negotiated resolution. But of course, as he himself indicated, Iran is operating with a stronger hand right now. And so our ability to arrive at a diplomatic resolution of the situation has been greatly weakened.
You mentioned the need for Senate Republicans to stand up to the president. There have been a few moments where they've shown a little bit of independence in recent weeks. They were objected to the slush fund, for instance, the anti-weaponization compensation fund, but they didn't put it into law. And colleagues at The Atlantic this week reporting that the president has not entirely abandoned this idea. This might be something that's revisited. What can the Congress do? What should those Senate Republicans do to prevent this from happening? Because as we've noted, some of those payments could theoretically go to those convicted of the January 6th insurrection.
Which would be such an unacceptable, un-American, and unpatriotic thing to do. And we've called upon the Congress to legislatively pull the plug on the $1.8 billion corrupt slush fund. Because under no circumstances should we see taxpayer dollars being spent to reward people who brutally and violently beat police officers on January 6th. This has been the through line of the Trump administration. We believe that taxpayer dollars should actually be spent to make life more affordable for the American people. That's what, as House Democrats, we're committed to doing, and that's what Republicans have failed to accomplish now in the 18 months where they've had complete control of government in Washington.
Leader Jeffries, Eugene Robinson's in Washington, and he has the next question.
Mr. Leader, I want to get back to those Ohio voters that we just heard from. I just saw a Fox News poll, a high-quality poll of Ohio voters that showed Democrat Sherrod Brown quite comfortably leading his Republican opponent. This is in a state that has really trended Republican in recent elections. But it showed Sherrod Brown ahead. It showed the Democrat tied with essentially with the Republican in the governor's race. Is this a trend that you are seeing? I'm not asking you to go too far out on a limb, but what are you seeing politically across the country as people react to the fact that inflation is not down and the war is not over?
Well, not only is it a polling trend line, I think most importantly, perhaps, Eugene, what we've seen since the first special election of Donald Trump's term, his presidency in January of 2025, which is when Democrats flipped an Iowa State Senate district, that for 18 consecutive months, we've been winning elections up and down the ballot across the country. Voters have been rejecting Republicans and elevating Democratic candidates because they know we're relentlessly focused on confronting the affordability crisis and driving down the high cost of living. So we've seen this in places like New York and New Jersey and Virginia, but also in places like Mississippi and Georgia and Pennsylvania. All across the country, we've been winning races. We've won races, including in Donald Trump's own neighborhood in Mar-a-Lago. We've won races in deep red parts of Texas. We've won races in Louisiana. And so I think the trend line is positive, and so this polling numbers don't surprise me. But we're going to keep our foot on the gas pedal because we know we have to run through the finish line to get it done in November. But I am confident that Democrats are going to take back control of the House, and we have a real shot of doing the same in the Senate.
So, Leader Jeffries, in the last couple of weeks, it is impossible for two people sitting in New York City having a conversation to not speak about the Knicks. So let's do that now. I know you're a Knicks fan. You were saying you almost brought Knicks gear to the table this morning, which would have been welcome. Tell us how you're feeling about the series, but also what you're seeing, frankly, in the streets.
Yeah, it's been an incredibly exciting run in terms of, this team. The city has fallen in love with the team. We love the Knicks generally, as we were talking about. Basketball is a city game, and the Knicks are the city team. And many of us have been loyal but long-suffering Knicks fans. They've been good, but there have been a lot of moments of agony. And what's been so exciting, and this is why Game 4 in particular was incredible, there was the agony of the first half, but just the thrill and the ecstasy of a historic comeback that was accomplished with heart, soul, and grit. And so I'm excited for Game 5. I think we're going to finish it off, hopefully in San Antonio, but definitely if it comes back to the Garden in Game 6.
Yeah, we're seeing the highlight here of the OG Anunoby's already legendary tip-in to win Game 4 at the buzzer. And yes, Game 5 tomorrow night in San Antonio. And I know there's some Knicks fans who would say, oh, we'd really love to win it on our home court, which would be Tuesday, Game 6 back at the Garden. I would just caution on that. You let the Spurs win a game. Sure, you're still favored to win the series and even win it in 6. But you leave the door open, and there are 53 years of ghosts that could sneak through.
Absolutely. Get it done.